Welcome, everyone. Welcome to my last show of the month. It's been a wonderful 10 years. I'm thrilled at the size of perhaps the biggest audience I've ever had, which means that the possibilities for walkouts are endless. So I thank you very much. Amanda, could you just sort of kill the lights for a second? So I'm going to step outside, not kill it all the way. Thank you. I just sort of want to sort of step aside and step out of the performance mode. And this show, is all my shows and all my work, is dedicated to my wife, Jacqueline Levine. And my wife is 43 years, and she's contractually obliged to say 43 wonderful years. Jackie can't be here tonight, and as she says, HIPAA is for doctors, because she has a very severe neurological disease, and she's currently in rehab. And I just would like you to say hi to Jackie, and and just wave your hand. And she told me to break a leg, but I misheard her. So now, the show. Okay. A review of past shows. Ambulance, the musical. Jesus in India, where we had a completely full house on Good Friday at 1 p.m. of evangelicals who almost stoned us. The John W. Borek production of Hamlet. Starring Henry L. Borek as a friend of York. A window on the Carrageenan. Irish. Would you perhaps like to talk a bit about window on the Carrageenan?
I had absolutely nothing to do with that.
So, Nazi fighter pilots fly over Ireland where they are given safe haven. Spencer writes the play, and then I refuse to have anybody produce it. How I became famous, self-explanatory. Jokes in the unconscious, perhaps not self-explanatory. Whoa! Dinner theater. The reason Jackie wanted me to make an announcement was she didn't want anybody to think that she was avoiding tonight because she was afraid it would be another dinner theater. If Boys Wore the Skirts, a revival of the show I was in 7th grade. One of the earliest shows, Phone Calls from the Dead, in which our performers took phone calls from dead celebrities. And the Injured Superhero Show. So, it is time now for our first awards, the Johnsons. So, I would like to present. Oh, no. I'm doing this. I'm doing the vocals. Producer! Okay. Oh, can we take those off because they're. I want all the attention on me.
No.
Just going to sleep. No worries. The speeder. Oh, they're coming. Not yet. Oh. W. Borek production of Hamlet. So now, thank you. And that was called Broadway Wipeout because, of course, and the transition was supposed to be that all of my shows are Broadway wipeouts. So this is my theater speech. The theater is like a bubble. It's evanescent. It's temporal. It's iridescent. It's mysterious. And if you invest money in the theater, it disappears. Like a bubble. And now, the first award ceremony in our last show, and because for the, or perhaps, Karen, perhaps you will start by talking about Moose Murders? Yeah. Okay, Moose Murders.
Moose Murders.
So let me start by introducing Karen Weiner. When we did Moose Murders at Sardi's, these many years ago, like 12 years ago, Karen arranged the whole thing, introduced me to the playwright, found the 4th floor of Sardi's to do the show in, and I forgot to acknowledge her. And she rented a suite for the cast afterwards to have a celebratory party. So I am opening tonight's show by introducing Karen Weiner, the producer of Moose Murders.
I am more moved to be here than you can possibly imagine. So this is the Campbell Robertson article about Moose Murders. It's not a review. It's about Moose Murders, the production that John did. We had a conversation one night in a little place called the House of Grooves on West 51st Street in the theater district. And we talked about the worst plays I'd ever seen. And I mentioned that I had actually been present at the performance, at one of the preview performances of Moose Murders by Arthur Bicknell. And that because I knew Arthur Bicknell, I sat basically in my seat doing the entire show. It was so mortifying and I felt so badly for him. But it was not opening night, so I didn't have to go to the party. Where Campbell Robertson reports here, it was not generally not a good sign for a Broadway show when people leave the opening night party early. And the reviews were, in 2 words, the worst. So the question was, that John raised was, was it really that bad? And, in retrospect, well, yeah, it kind of was. But there were a lot of reasons for that, and it didn't have to be. And from there, we got into a lengthy conversation about what makes good theater and producing. And I think I gave John the only piece of advice that I probably every producer should have on their wall. Don't be a theater producer, it'll break your heart. But he went ahead and did it anyway. And now do I read this lovely piece from Arthur?
Sure.
Yes.
How are we on time, Amanda?
37 minutes left.
Yes.
Okay, so Arthur Bicknell wrote this for this occasion. It is a literary farewell to John Borek, producer, by Arthur Bicknell, playwright. And I am doubly honored to get to read this tonight. And he says, all children except 2 grow up. You don't know me without you've read a play by the name of Moose Murders, but that ain't no matter. You've got to climb to the top of Mount Everest to reach the Valley of the Moose. A few miles south of Rochester, the Cayuga Lake drops in close to the hillside bank and runs deep and green. In my younger and more vulnerable years, my father gave me some advice that I've been turning over in my mind ever since. Quote, it is a truth universally acknowledged that a playwright in possession of a bad reputation must be in want of a producer, unquote. John Borek was not beautiful, but artists seldom realized it when caught by his charm, as was the Bicknell playwright. Call me producer, he said. The producer was leaving the muck, and everybody seemed sorry. So we beat on, boats against the current, borne back ceaselessly into the past, but wherever we go and whatever happens to us on the way, in that enchanted place on the top of the forest, a little playwright and his producer will always be playing. Are there any early Tuesday morning, also a primary day on a day in September in New York, when 9/11 happened. And Karl Heinz Stockhausen said that it was the greatest single work of art ever in all of creation, and was roundly criticized for it. But again, you have to ask yourself, what is art? And why do we make it? And that's what the muck is here for, and it will be poorer for John's absence, in my humble opinion. Thank you.
And now, out of sequence, we present the Johnny Awards. Our first award, the Golden Palette, or the Platinum Palette, sorry, I have to give a Golden Award later. So it's Louis Podlasky. Louis, would you please come up and Louis has done almost all of the posters for my shows, and his interpretation often creates my shows. So he's as much or more of the creator of the show as I am. So I thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Has anybody seen Henry?
He's behind you.
Oh, he's up there.
Good evening, everyone. You know, I used to think masturbation was a private matter. Not something you invited your peers to, but here we are. Johnny. What a concept. What a man. What a weirdo. And to be perfectly frank, that's what I love about it. I love that he's a weirdo because we can smell our own. 10 years ago, a mutual director friend of ours said, check out this kid. You want a good poster? Talk to him. John did, and that was me. A little show called Dinner Theater. You remember that one, man?
I sure do.
Well, that makes sense. The idea was ridiculous, but I gave it my all. And then came number 2, 3, and eventually over 400. That was our first date. Posters. Then one day I asked John if I could do an evening of my authored short plays called Slow Parade. He didn't protest. He didn't get mad. He didn't even read them. All he said was, you got it. I mean, let's do this. And there we were. We were off and running. And after the single night performance, John said, and I quote, now you're a triple threat. What he meant was he saw me act in the Zoo Story, do posters, and now this little punk thought he was a playwright. 2 years later, a second show of shorts called Another Broken Machine, we did, and we made that one 2 nights. And John came up to me in this very same theater and said, congratulations, you're the first person to ever sell out the muck. And of course he was pleased being a producer. So we had to turn people away at the door. And was it me? No, it was that we falsely advertised reptilian nudity. Godzilla was pissed about it. All kidding aside, John is one of those guys that never wanted 500 emails. If he added his name to a project, that many trusted him, and that trust was invaluable. It felt good. Call it father figure, favorite uncle, or teacher. What I call it is a friend. The best kind of friend, someone who is there for you, your art and your passions, no matter the revenue, reviews, or success. Because John doesn't think of things in that terminology. He cares about art, period. And he never, in my experience of knowing him, has ever given more credit to himself than the people presenting things under his moniker. He wears goofy outfits, he dances badly, and he always takes care of his collaborative children. Of which I'm extremely proud to be a part of. He also never really got his curtain call, as so many of us did with his help. So, sir, take your bow. You've earned it.
So, you can see how this award ceremony is going. So,
Well, I have something for you, too.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
You remind me about my goofy outfit. This is made from my father's time. So, anyway, our next John goes to Spencer Cristiano. And I'd like to give him this golden Buddha costume. Because Spencer
I don't want that
Spencer
back.
Turns out an Oscar. I mean, really. Spencer wrote a play called The Mystery of the Golden Buddha, which starred Henry. And Henry is where? Henry's there. Okay, Henry's with us. We love him.
In my next play.
So, Spencer and I worked together on probably 20 shows, unfortunately, for Spencer. And none of them would have come to fruition without him. They were all Spencer. Thank you, Spencer. 30 minutes, thank you. Okay.
Do I say something?
Yeah, say something if you care to, or you
well-
can walk out too.
John has always used me as an excuse to purchase weird shit. So as I don this weird shit, John came to me in 2010 when I was recently,
Just graduated from Buddha school.
I just graduated from Buddha school.
And you
Can I get a stage manager?
Oh, that's a bit of, reminds me of an interesting story. Well,
Seems a little appropriate. Oh, thank you. I forgot that there's shoes. John came to me when I recently graduated from SUNY Brockport, their theater department. And I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, but I knew I wanted to do something related to theater. I'm going to die if I try to put these shoes on. And John asked me if I would direct a couple plays at this new theater called The Muck. And he said, hey, do you want to direct the worst reviewed play in Broadway history? I said, sure. And the rest was history. My first project at the Muck was a 3-play career retrospective from Arthur Bicknell, which not only included Moose Murders and his one play that did achieve some critical success, My Great Dead Sister, but it also included his then newest play, What is Art? Which asked the same question.
That's right.
What is Art? Had slugs on stage. I believe it had kazoos, and most of it, I think there was a harmonica solo.
there was a plumber.
There was a
plunger
plunger dance, which remains the only thing I've ever choreographed. I'm insanely proud of it. But John really helped me find my weirdness, and from finding my weirdness, I found, I don't want to wear this anymore. And from that, I also found what kind of art I wanted to create. And I would not be who I am today. I wouldn't have had the amazing journey through life that I have had without John. So thank you very much.
Is Cassandra out there? Can someone ask Cassandra to come in? Yeah, she's at the box office. Thank you. In the interim, I would like to present the Camouflage Photographer Award to Annette Brown. And right after Annette's award is your award. I you were here. So, but you can have it simultaneously. And so, we all know how important it is for photographers to be not seen and not heard. And Annette has photographed over 500 shows. Annette, over 500 shows.
Yes, 506.
500. Our next award goes to Cassandra Kelly, who was astonishingly important, and especially at the beginning, making me feel that yes, I can't say that I was onto something, because I was onto nothing. But you were just wonderful, and so. To honor your wonder, I am giving you the Johnny Tree of Life Award. And because you provide comfort, you improve our theater environment, and your leaves protect and branches protect us. Thank you.
Yes, this has been really a John show. I feel it now.
I don't know.
Oh, there we go. Well, John gave me something to read, but that's going to be a little hard now.
I don't know, Amanda, how are we doing on time?
Thank you, John.
24 and a half.
Okay, we might get to read them.
Okay, thank
Okay,
you, John.
thank you.
Thank you.
Don't trip. Okay. Now, also, Michael Arbe isn't here, I don't believe, and I would just like to acknowledge him. In the early days, he actually treated me as if I were a theater professional. And Michael is a theater professional. He's extraordinary, and he has done so many wonderful productions. And he would always ask me to produce his shows, so it became John W. Borek Presents, because, believe it or not, he thought my name indicated quality. And I love Michael dearly, and I will eventually give him the King of Theater Award. And now, our final award goes to Betsy Benedict and Henry L. Borek for, this is the Nature Red in Tooth and Claw Award. And it is for opening both Henry and Betsy have started a home for aging canine actors. So Betsy, may I present you this award. Now, not only is Jackie disabled, but I'm disabled, and this morning or last night, Henry began limping and probably needs ACL surgery. So we are a triple threat, folks. So if anybody wants to do, if there are still movies of the week or Hallmark movies, right on in. We have a number of people who have sent comments in on, and I am, these are simply going to be two, I'm going to post these on my Facebook page called The Theater World of John W. Borek. Does anybody, Sandra was going to read one, but I think instead, for our next.
Oh my God! Stop now! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it!
A lot.
Oh my freaking God! What the hell is going on in here?
What's wrong?
Forgive me, ladies and gentlemen, I don't mean to interrupt any of this love fest that's going on. My name is Justin Rielly. I am the in-house drama critic of John W. Borek Productions. And I have come out here now with a prepared statement. This one's for you. And I quote, ladies and gentlemen of the audience, after early horrific reviews have come in, we have decided to close the theater world of John W. Borek after almost one half of the films. And considering how legitimately bad theater is going on right now, in your sane minds, you would do the same thing as well. But considering that this is a 45-minute show, and we still have
21 minutes.
Thank you, Amanda, 21 minutes. We have come to the realization now that there are feelings that are had by those of us who have been involved in John shows over the last 10 years. Feelings, loads and loads of feelings. And so with John's great permission, we have decided to turn the remainder of this time into a therapy session because like it or not, whether we choose to admit so or not, we have all had moments working with John that were memorable for all the right and or wrong reasons. And it is a perfect opportunity for those who are in the dais to express those moments for all of you. But in order to do so, which one of you would like to be the first to break the ice?
I choose Spencer.
Okay.
In the Buddha suit.
Oh.
With a candlestick.
The work that I have done for John that has never been seen almost matches the work I have done for John that has been seen. For John, I memorized a 6-minute Andy Kaufman monologue for his show Jokes in the Unconscious, and then he forgot to bring me on stage. For Ambulance the Musical, I spent 40 minutes flailing around the stage with a crutch, and my underarm was bruised for 3 weeks. I wrote an entire Irish play for John that was never performed.
Intentionally.
And even when I dressed up as a woman and came in as a fictional playwright to try and get the play performed, he still wouldn't produce it. That's all I got. I feel like I'm supposed to have like a big moment, but...
Several big ones.
Someone else, or
Is there anybody else who would like to go?
I would like to go.
Please say your name upon standing because the KGB is taking it.
Philip R. Fry, how are you all doing today?
Great.
I'm going to just briefly talk about a couple of quick things. All right, so Spencer spoke of a great deal of work done on various shows. He mentioned Ambulance the Musical. I would like to bring that up right now. Because I was approached, I had a professional disappointment. Things were not going well. I went to John and I said, "You got anything going on, John? I need a project." And he said, "Oh, have I got a project for you? A musical based on the history of the ambulance." I said, "Okay." He said, "I've got a book. I got the rights. It's good. It's excellent." So I said, "All right, let's do this." I was all for it. So he gave me a copy of the book. And I made a major mistake, not in accepting the job, but in how I approached the job. See, I decided that I was going to adapt the book and make a musical based on the history of the ambulance, forgetting who was producing the show. So I was supposed to write the book and the lyrics, and here I am trying to find a structure to tell the story of the history of the ambulance in an exciting and interesting way, with songs that would engage the audience. And meanwhile, I don't know what was the name of the fellow who was writing the music? A serious musician?
Oh,
Yeah, writing the music, and we both came to the same conclusion. I get this call, I get this email that says, "Oh, we're not doing it because he says there's not enough time to do it properly, and I was taking it too seriously." So we put on a show about why we weren't putting on the show. That's what Ambulance the Musical became. Now, I still have my copy of the book that he was basing it on. I got it autographed, because it's a damn fine book. Go find it. It's called Ambulance, a History. It's very, very interesting. You'd be amazed. So that's my only really traumatic thing, is that I wrote lyrics to one song, right? It was a love song. Which we performed, only lyrics, because they had no music. A love song to the portable defibrillator. I didn't say I was making the show super serious, just trying to actually adapt the book. So, in all seriousness, I'm going to put that aside for a moment and just talk about this guy, because some years ago, I was coming off of a 4.5-year sabbatical from theater because of a major personal issue that I had had with somebody who just drove me away, and I did like virtually no theater for like 4.5 years. And I had done a show for someone, then I did another show for someone, and the itch was starting to come back. I want to do some theater. And my mother calls me on the phone one day and says, oh, they just opened a new theater over here. You should look into it. And I said, okay, what's it called? She said, oh, it's called Muck. And she said, and here's the name. It's John Borek. Would you get in touch with him? And so I did, and we took lunch. And I told him some of the things I wanted to do, and he loved them all the crazy things that I've done. And I want to point this out because it's very important. He took someone who had not been enthusiastic about the theater for some time, gave me great opportunity to get a lot done in the theater, to produce shows that I always wanted to produce, sometimes twice, because to get it right the second time, and things like that, ultimately leading to where I am now as a performer, which is not really working in the theater at all. So my career has taken an interesting trajectory that honestly it would not. Right now I'm doing personal performance, meaning I have a character and I perform like that, and it's all because he got me a grant that justified doing my first ever one-man show, which was the Dickens Christmas Carol. And so if I hadn't done that, I wouldn't have had the confidence to stand here like this now, because I was very much a behind-the-scenes kind of guy. I'll direct, I'll adapt, I'll act if you need me, but I really don't like to do this sort of thing, to take the attention. But I'll stop now, and that's all. And who knows where it's going from here, but enjoy the show.
13 minutes.
13.
Who wants to go next? Who shall follow?
I'm Mario Savastano, and some time ago during a Muck benefit, my sibling MJ and I were asked to give a speech about Muck during this intermission that was happening. And so we spent a lot of time writing this big, long, detailed speech. And I had known John quite a bit, and I saw all the things that John did, but we sat down and we're like, when we mentioned briefly what everyone does in this theater, what do we say about John? And I was like, this is a really good question. So ultimately what the speech ended up saying was that we didn't know what John did, but only he was doing it so well. And I think really that encapsulates, from the first time that we came in here to do a show, John let us into the show. That was also partially Spencer's fault, but we'll save that for this production of his thing in 2059. Fringe 2059. And I came up to John because we had a big problem because I worked with all teenagers, right? And some of them, basically most of the members of the band, neglected to tell their moms they were doing a show until like 3 days before we opened, and she suddenly decided they weren't doing the show. So I went to John and said, I'm doing this musical, but I have all of these problems. I have no band anymore, all this stuff. John's talking to me so calmly. I'm following him, I'm pacing around him. He's talking to me like this is the simplest solution in the world, right? It's like, well, what do you need me to do? And what I wanted to say was, John, what I need you to do is play multiple instruments at the same time through 15 songs you've never heard before. But after being in a conversation with him for 5 minutes, I did not say that because I knew that he would do it. So I neglected to say that just because I didn't want him up here playing 3 instruments at once to a song that he didn't know. And after that, the show went on. And after the show went on, John said, do you want to do any other shows here in the future? And I said, can I do every show with DVC here from now on? And he was like, I don't know. We'll see if we can make that happen. And that's absolutely what's happened. And the only reason I brought this story was to tell you that in addition to all the damage John has done, he has also damaged a whole bunch of city youth who have been in this theater since 2011. Okay, we're talking about high school kids who had to do shows here, who had to watch shows here, who now are in their adulthoods, many of them running through their 20s, heading toward early 30s, who are severely artistically harmed, compromised. So thank you for that gift, John. On their behalf, I thank you for that gift.
How are we doing, Amanda?
10:45.
Thank you.
We're getting close. Is there anyone who would like to take this moment to speak now, because there is not much time left?
I had to screw up my courage world. And he ran by me and said, you have to do this play with me. It's going to be great. It's Moose Murders. I'll call you. Okay. And then you find out that it was the worst play on Broadway. And you're like, what? Do we really have? And then he said, but it's going to be really different. It's going to be with music. And they're going to make up the songs. And we're going to do it at a place in the city, at Roco. And I was like, oh no, Jen, I can't do it. I'm really nervous. And he said, huh, it was the worst play on Broadway. We can only go up. And so that's my story about Moose Murders, and it's a lot of fun.
Annette Dragon has the floor.
Thank you. Annette Dragon here.
Who's taking pictures?
For 10 years, every time you put on a show, you said to me, you know, Annette, I do all these shows for you. And you were referring to our collaboration. You and others you've inspired write and create and perform, and I photograph it, proving that we've all lived. I didn't count how many of your shows I photographed, but it's a load. I think I missed one when I was in Cuba. It all started with Moose Murders, where I discovered some of the cool kids of Rochester and the imagination of your beautiful wife, Jackie. And it ends on this stage tonight. In between, I've shot you in a gorilla costume, a chicken costume, and a poke costume. I've shot you sitting in a sea of aluminum foil at Record Archive and learning to dance in 10 minutes at dances at Muck. I've photographed you getting the Tango Cafe patrons to get up and do the moves. I photographed you putting on a birthday party for Cole Porter, you making peanut butter and bacon sandwiches for breakfast with Elvis, and you staging a full-blown vaudeville show with clowns and stilts and giant snakes and a theremin. You've made your dog and your wife a star. You've thrown this little theater and Rochester into pure absurdist chaos, and our lives are richer for it. So now it's on to the next act, and Eve is going to finish reading this for me because the last time she did this, it caused quite a stir, but this is nice.
This isn't like my last soliloquy. So now
Name?
it's on.
No, she's reading my words.
Oh, you were yours. Not name, withdraw name.
So now it's on to the next act, where you shine in the role of caretaker, husband, vow-keeper, and advocate. You were the best man at our wedding. You'll always be my best man.
Just to pass out among the audience.
While you're doing that, John, how much time is it?
6:20.
Okay.
Just perfect. So just really quickly, as we're getting close to this rodeo coming to a close, do want to acknowledge Annette's wonderful speech, who has just finished Annette's wonderful speech. Over on the other side is Mario, Rebecca Solomon, wonderful writer. And next to that is a terrific dancer, Donna Davenport, who I remember at the dance of the month one year, John and Donna did a dance number / sketch in which Donna, I believe, taught John how to dance different dances.
In 10 minutes.
Yeah, it was
And
great.
it was outstanding. And before things get a little bit further, I will only say, just for me, and only for me, I have been grateful to have been a part of the John Borek universe for 7.5 years. I've met wonderful people because of this man, and I am forever grateful for everything that I've accomplished. And I know Spencer mentioned this before. For him, I can also say that for me as well. Had it not been for this man, I wouldn't be standing on the stage right now and wouldn't be doing all the things I've done. And I know that so many people feel the same way about you. And you can deny this to the day the mortal coils shake off you. But the truth is, and I think it was Frank, who's here tonight, who wrote this, that when it comes to anti-theater, you are the best example of taking theater and not giving up.
Well, so I just want to say that I'm a Polish Catholic, but secretly I've always wanted to have a bar mitzvah. And today I am a man. I also want to say that at my age, I only know geniuses. Thank you so much. So I was at my barber's last week before I broke my hand, and he told me this terrible story about a tragedy that happened to one of his customers, and he ended it by saying, "La vita ti frega," and he translated from the Italian as meaning life cheats you, or life abuses you, life beats you up, life roughs you up. And all of us have experienced life in that guise. And the only way to overcome that part of life is through the arts. And I just wish all of you a continued journey into the arts to put life in its place. Now, 3 minutes, we're going to sing. Our sing-along is going to be There's No Business Like Show Business. I will attempt to keep the melody of the verse, and then we can sing the choruses together. The costumes, the scenery, the makeup, the props, the audience that lifts you when you're down. The headaches, the heartaches, the backaches, the fluffs, the sheriff will escort you out of town. The opening when your heart beats like a drum. The closing when the customers don't come. Come on, everybody, apple. There's no business like show business, like no business I know. Everything about it is feeling, everything that traffic will allow. No, everything that happy feeling when you are stealing that extra mile. There's no business like show business, like no business I know. You never knew before the show started. Sorry. You. Thank you.